Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to today's session. We'll start in another 2 minutes. Good afternoon once again. I think the Zoom room is getting filled super quickly, but we'll still give it just like a minute for everyone to join so that they don't miss the introduction. Okay, so I'm very happy today to introduce Bhanu sir to you all. Let me extend a warm welcome to you, sir, on behalf of all of us here at S2M and the CMS group of institutions. The City Montessori group is a strong group, very engaged teachers who have been enjoying the platform and the CECT program. So let me quickly introduce you to them. So Bhanu sir boasts over 8 years of vibrant experience in English language teaching. Mr. Bhanu is a powerhouse of knowledge in academic consulting, teacher training, and innovative curriculum design. As a certified ELT trainer and a teaching assistant of communicative English at Amity University, Gurgaon, Bhanu sir stands out for his dynamic involvement with leading edtech companies. He has led more than 1,500 workshops, both in person and online, energizing and inspiring teachers across India. Bhanu sir is at the forefront of exploring exciting areas like trans-languaging and multilingualism in ELT. Beyond his teaching and training, Bhanu sir has made his mark as an author, contributing a valuable book to the field. He also boasts of 5 research papers published in renowned international journals, showcasing his profound engagement with cutting-edge academic research. His dual role as an academician and hands-on teacher trainer allows him to share cutting-edge insights and practical wisdom with fellow educators, making a significant impact in the world of English language teaching. So we are extremely grateful that you could take time and be with us today. Over to you.
Thank you, Rajeshwari. Thank you so much. Good evening to all the teachers who have kind of spared their very valuable time after what I believe must have been a pretty long day at school. So thank you so much for being part of this learning journey, and I hope to not bore you for long. And by the end of this session, hopefully, we should sort of achieve the learning outcome that we will try to achieve. Uh, First of all, I just want to give a huge shout out to the CMS group teachers for being the rarest of the tribe where I did not have to say, please keep your videos on. And everybody joined the group, joined the class with videos on. So take your right hand and just pat your back, say, well done, because you all deserve it. Thank you so much. Without wasting much time, I think let's quickly jump into the masterclass today. What we are going to indulge into is going to be perhaps a little bit of a monologue from my end, considering that there are so many participants in the Zoom room, and I can also see the YouTube link that is already live, and a lot of teachers also joining. So what we'll do is, without wasting much time, let's quickly let me share my presentation and get to it. Yeah, just give me a minute. Is my screen sort of visible? Is it in full screen? Just give me a thumbs up. Thank you so much. Thank you, Fatima ma'am. I can see you. Thank you, Rajeshwari. Great, lovely. So what we'll do for the next 65, 70 odd minutes is try to understand what comprehension in communication really looks like, and how can we master the art of effective comprehension skill. Rajeshwari, I'm supremely grateful to you for such a humble introduction that you made. But forget about all the academic sort of accolades that we all so profoundly boast of. I think the way I like to introduce myself is on the extreme right hand side of the screen, right? I like to call myself a multilingual. I'm a multilingual individual. I know how to read, write, and speak in 5 languages. And something that my mom is really proud of is the fact that I'm a round roti maker. I make rounder rotis than my brother, than my sister, and I'm the roundest roti maker from my family. And my mom is super proud of that. And that is something that I very proudly boast of. So this is who I am. I'm your trainer. I've been doing this for quite some time now. I have had the honor of sort of conducting trainings for the Shivnadar group of teachers, for the Manav Rachna group of teachers, Amity, Delhi Public Schools, and today CMS. I have been hearing so much about CMS. I have friends, families, extended families who study in CMS schools across UP, mostly in Lucknow. And I'm very humble, and I feel very honored to be part of this. I would like to thank Stones to Milestones for this opportunity. So yeah, that's pretty much about me. I like to set a couple of norms just so that this session is fruitful for all of us who have joined in, right? The first is two-way interaction, right? Let the chat buzz. Do not feel that, oh my God, are we asking too many questions? Are we responding way too much? We are, of course, close to 400 plus participants. Don't worry about that. Um, Remember that this is as much a learning journey for me as it is for you. So keep on responding in the chat box. You never know. I have conducted so many trainings, and after every training, there are things that I learn and I get better at for my next training. So please put in your response, your perspective. It's a safe space for all of us. Do not feel like, okay, what if this is the wrong answer? What if what sir is asking is not what I am intending to reply? Please let the chat buzz. Uh, the second norm is connect. When I say connect, connect at two levels. A, connect at your own professional level, right? So whatever I'm learning today, how is this going to help me as a teacher, right? Second, connect it to the classroom that you are currently teaching. You could be a social science teacher teaching grade 8 students. We are learning about comprehension. We are learning about comprehending information. How is this relevant to me, right? So connect at two level, at your own professional level, you as an educator, how is this information making sense to you? Also, your role as an educator in the sense, which grades are you currently teaching, right? I always say this before every training for my teachers. I am not expecting 100% retention of this masterclass, right? All I'm expecting is 50% retention and 20% implementation. So even if you apply 20% of the information that you learn today in some bits and parts in your classroom tomorrow, I will feel that all of us, so like, together, cumulative, so many hours of valuable time that we have spent in, I think this will be successful. So connect to your own professional self, connect to your classroom. The third thing is be curious. When I say be curious, what I'm trying to say is you might have heard of this, you might already know this. Some of you might have 35, 40, 45 years of sort of experience. I can see that education and the teaching is one such profession where we have a huge spectrum of age group in which teachers are associated, right? Some of us are very young sort of teachers, some of us have been in this sector for long, right? But what would keep us always alive is the zeal to learn, is the zeal to be curious, is also the mindset to unlearn a couple of things and then be present at the moment. So be curious, and at the end we will have a detailed Q&A session. Do not hesitate to ask questions. Keep those questions parked for now, right? And that's it. Let's have fun. Let's make this 65, 70 odd minutes of our lives very, very fruitful. Like I said, I'm not expecting 100% retention. All I'm expecting is 50% retention and 20% implementation of what we learn in your classroom, right? So let's go. Great. I would like to start off with this icebreaker, which is one of my favorite. It's called different weather, different mood, right? So what we're going to do is we're going to go to the chat box and put in the chat box which is one weather that we very closely resonate with at this present moment. Now that you're sitting in your, some of you, maybe in your own residence, some of you might be on your commute, wherever you are, what is the current mood that you are in, and which weather do you resonate with, right? For example, I have written that I resonate with the sunny weather because I feel extremely rejuvenated and alive and very, very alive to take the session today, to take this masterclass today, right? So I resonate with the sunny weather. So put it in the chat box. Which weather do you resonate with and why? If you could also put, I resonate with summer. I can say sunny. Spring season. Spring season certainly makes me joyous. Of course, currently, okay, pleasant weather, monsoon. Okay, spring, happy. With the spring season, sunny spring. Okay, thank you so much. I love winters. No matter how much chill it is outside, really, it's very. It makes me feel alive. Okay. Wow, brilliant. Waiting for a couple of more teachers. Thank you so much for somebody said I resonate with stormy weather currently because of the turmoil that is within me. Ritika ma'am, I just hope that for the next 60, 65 odd minutes, I hope you are not feeling as turmoil as you might be feeling within, but feel free to also, if you are feeling a little uneasy, feel free to keep your video off and just consume this content. That is absolutely okay. Thank you so much to all the teachers who are pouring in. I'm hardly able to follow all the chats, but once again, thank you so much. Thank you so much. The whole purpose of sort of me doing this icebreaker was also to set the context of our masterclass today. Uh, Comprehension in its entirety also means a lot about how we perceive what comes to us. For example, I can see Amit sir sitting there very happy, bright. So I can pretty much say that maybe Amit sir is feeling very happy today, right? Maybe Amit sir is ready to learn, right? So something that I can kind of comprehend from his facial expression, something that I can comprehend from the way he's sort of responding. I'm just taking an example, of course, right? But comprehension has got so much to do with how we perceive information. So let's begin. So there are two very simple learning outcomes that I intend to kind of sort of achieve by the end of this sort of masterclass. The first one is that we will be able to analyze and interpret comprehension skills to improve effective communication. We'll be able to understand what comprehension is and how this is going to help us communicate better. Second, we will also be able to apply these skills for effective communication as well as in our day-to-day teaching, right? When we teach children, be it us as math teacher, social science teacher, or EVS teacher, pre-primary teacher, primary teachers, right? How does this skill of comprehension, how does this help us, or how will this tomorrow help our children to be better individuals, right? Who will also be able to a communicate better, of course, the communication part is there. B, comprehend information better. At the end of the day, excel in all academic journey. Great. Let's move on. So very similar to like Bloom's taxonomy, there is Diffing's taxonomy of significant learning, under which there is the subsection where Diffing talks about three levels of processing information, right? Be it children, be it adults, we process information at three different levels. We comprehend, we interpret, and then we synthesize, right? So we will not talk a lot about synthesis today, but we'll focus largely on what comprehension is and how it kind of also there isn't a very distinct difference between comprehension and interpretation, but interpretation is one level above comprehension, right? Once we learn how to comprehend, then we interpret information, then we synthesize information. So I'm just setting the foundation on which we will kind of take this masterclass forward, and we will talk so much about comprehension, right? So the first very simple open question to all of us is, what is your current understanding of comprehension? I'm sure there are a lot of teacher trainers. There's a especially the English language trainers must have spoken so much about comprehension. I'm not in general talking only about reading comprehension today, but please go to the chat box and put what is your current understanding of comprehension. What do you sort of what comes to your mind when I say comprehension? Rita ma'am says understanding. Okay, okay, fair enough. Interpreting, yes, means understanding, understanding. Okay, ability to understanding of concept is comprehension. Understand and apply the knowledge. Okay, Neha ma'am says, okay, I think understanding the text, and then we are able to frame more questions. I'm guessing Neha ma'am is an English teacher. I get very specific answer. Uh, Okay, and how I perceive or interpret information. Thank you, ma'am. Arshila ma'am says observation, interpretation, analysis, application. Okay, understanding, analyzing, applying. Okay, Bloom's verbs. I can see a lot of Bloom's here. Understand and interpret, understand, analyze, understand and execute the learning. Learning, correct, correct. Okay, okay. Interpreting and understanding the given text and able to talk in the same in a different okay. Raisa ma'am says interpreting and understanding the given text and able to talk about the same in a different way with same meaning. Okay. Wow. Okay. That's one way to put it. Analysis between lines. Okay. Great. Thank you so much. Your perspective, perception of the topic, of course. Of course. Great. Lovely. Thank you so much. Yeah. And all of you, of course, I would like to give all of you a silent clap for for such beautiful answers. And all of you are pretty much correct, right? Absolutely correct. In fact, comprehension in very simple terms is actually the ability to understand and make meaning of any information, right? The moment we somebody says something to us, and then we understand and we make meaning out of it, that is comprehension, right? We read something and then we make meaning out of it. We understand the text and we make meaning out of it. That is comprehension, right? Like I said, in different parts of northern India, there are different Hindi slangs that we use, right? In the northeastern part of India, the Hindi that we use is also very different. In the southern part of India, the Hindi that we use is very different, right? When I initially came to North India, one of my friend went to the market and said, "Kitne ka hai?" Now, "kitne ka hai" apparently meant how much, right? Which I didn't know. But the vegetable vendor understood it, right? So whenever we speak or whenever we read something, the ability to make meaning of that information is called comprehension, in simple words, right? Like I said, there is reading comprehension and there is comprehension in general. I'm talking about comprehension in general, and we will delve deeper into understanding reading comprehension as well. Great. Now, again, fastest finger first, go to the chat box and write down what do we as educators have to comprehend in our day-to-day communication or in our day-to-day lives, right? What do we comprehend? What kind of information do we comprehend as educators, right? Starting from 9 in the morning or 8:30 in the morning whenever you reach school till 3:30 in the evening whenever you leave school. What are a couple of things that you as educators have to comprehend? Very practical answer is what I'm looking for. What do I comprehend? Students' perspective, behavior, yes, we interpret and we comprehend a lot of student behavior, needs of the children, understanding child psychology, okay, uh, uh, students' perspective, students' mood, emotions, behavior, achieving the objective, okay, comprehend students' knowledge, queries, comprehend lesson plans. Yes, somebody said lesson plan. Thank you so much, Sabha ma'am. On point. Yes, we comprehend lesson plans. Yes, we do that. Behavior management, how much content do we have to deliver? Yeah, that is more like a judgment, but of course, yeah, we comprehend that as well. Planning, implementation, our roles and responsibilities, how to give a good session to children. Okay, that is something we plan a little, but of course there's a lot of comprehension of information that happens when we also try to plan how to deliver an excellent lesson. Subjective information, plan and implement a session. Okay. Think very all of you are thinking very deep. I want you to think on a very surface level, right? I reach school, what do I comprehend? And what kind of information do I comprehend? Like lesson plan is one, right? How to provide information to users. Okay. Okay. Students' mood. Have to comprehend complex subject matter. Anugya ma'am said a complex subject matter. Okay. Yes. Diverse learning style. Yes. Shweta ma'am, bang on. Very beautiful answer. Thank you so much. Comprehend students' understanding given information. Teaching method according how to make lesson plans. Correct. Absolutely right. And thank you so much once again. Silent clap to all of you for buzzing the chat box with such brilliant answer. Right. In very simple terms, we also comprehend a lot of very simple things, and I have bucketed it into two simple buckets. Right. A, we comprehend communication between colleagues, parents, and students. Right. As simple as that. Right. There's a notice that comes from the principal's office. We comprehend that. Right. We comprehend sort of the lesson plans that we have made, the text that we need to teach children, right? The communication that is happening constantly with parents, right? We comprehend that. Second is interpreting and comprehending verbal and non-verbal cues in classroom interaction, right? There are a lot of students who might not outrightly say how they are feeling, right? But we'll also have to comprehend a lot about what students are feeling. A lot of you said student perspective, right? Absolutely correct. There are a lot of verbal comprehension that happens, right? And there are a lot of inverbal, non-verbal. So the next is, let's put the hat of our students once, right? And then think, what do I as a student, right? For once, think of your students. What do students comprehend in school every day? Once again, don't think very deep, right? Don't think very deep into what students need to comprehend. At a very surface level, what are things that students have to comprehend? What is expected out of them? Right? Put it in the chat box. Let's take a minute for this. Instructions given by the teachers, absolutely. Lessons, okay. Emotions, teachers' mood, yes, they have to comprehend how the teacher is feeling. Okay, what mood is my teacher in today? Yeah. Knowledge, teacher instruction. How will the day go? Okay, subject knowledge, what they have been taught, they have to comprehend that. Relationship with friends, routine and discipline. Okay, problem solving. Okay. Lesson, emotion, behavior, lesson and instructions given by the teacher, whatever they are being taught, subject instruction, knowledge. Now I'm missing out on something which is very common that children need to comprehend on a day-to-day basis. I'm still waiting for that response. Appreciation, assignments, yes, very close to assignment. What else? The text, content taught, instruction, practical knowledge, homework. Yes, somebody said homework. Yes, thank you. The curriculum. What else? There is assignment, there is homework, assessment. Sangeeta ma'am, thank you so much. I was waiting. Thank you so much. Kriti ma'am and Sangeeta ma'am together, you said assessment, right? Yes, absolutely, right? A lot of what children comprehend. And thank you so much once again for such a vibrant sort of chat. And I can totally see how involved you are. And that gives me so much of confidence that we are sort of, all of you are following the masterclass today, right? I have tried to kind of bucket it in six major you can say buckets of what children need to comprehend on a day-to-day basis. This is absolutely not the end of it. There are a lot of other things also that students comprehend, but what students comprehend is a lot of instruction from teachers, right? They need to comprehend the instruction that teachers are giving in every single subject that they are engaged in. Textbook and reading materials, a lot of comprehension goes in them comprehending what the textbook says, what these reading materials say. Then the most dreaded one, right? Nobody likes it, but assessment questions, right? This is something that children really, really struggle to comprehend at times because this is graded. Basis what they have comprehended, they respond, and on the basis of that, like they are given a certain grade. So assessment questions are something that they comprehend. Notices and schedules that have that keep on coming, right? They need to comprehend that information. A lot of information that comes on digital platform these days. We very extensively use WhatsApp. We very extensively use, I think, our own ERPs, using which we share information to students, and they need to comprehend that. Feedback from teachers, grades. What does a particular grade tell me, right? For sometimes in an English language classroom, maybe a B is also a good grade, right? But maybe in a math classroom, a B might not be that like sort of good a grade. So how do children sort of comprehend that, right? Like how do we look at the percentile? What is something that the topper of the class got, and where am I standing? Right, a lot of comprehension that happens. Now these comprehensions are of course like leading to making children who they are, and that is why I say that comprehension skill helps us to build a foundation upon which we can build meaning. And if our children learn the art of comprehension well, irrespective of which subject they are learning, right, they will always excel in life. And hence, there is so much of focus that we give on building the skill of comprehension, right? So basically, once again, reiterating, I'm not categorizing reading comprehension as such. I'm categorizing comprehension in general. I'm sure 600 odd participants that have joined on Zoom and another sort of, other people who have joined on YouTube, uh, we are all not English teachers, right? We are maths teachers, social science teachers, or we might be sort of Hindi teacher, Sanskrit teacher, right? So I'm not limiting this just to reading comprehension, but I'm talking in general about comprehension. So when we talk about comprehension in general, there are four categories in which we can divide comprehension, right? The first one is literal comprehension, then comes inferential comprehension, critical comprehension, and evaluative comprehension. In a masterclass today, what we'll do is we'll not talk so much about critical and evaluative comprehension, but we will talk in depth about what literal comprehension is, what inferential comprehension is, with special, sorry, with special focus on inferential comprehension, right? Because this is one skill which research says, which data says that children have slight difficulty in sort of mastering. So let's try to understand what literal comprehension is, what inferential comprehension is. The first one is literal comprehension. The like the term itself says, literal. I have tried to put across a picture for your reference. If you look at the screen, you'll be able to see a picture, right? The picture is of a character trying to beat the box, and apparently he's a beatboxer. So like the picture says, literal comprehension is something which refers to the our understanding of anything which is explicitly mentioned in the text. So if I'm talking about students comprehending literally, there is a text and there are information in the text, right, that children can already see, and they can make meaning out of it. That is literal comprehension, right? I have in my next slide, I'm sure we all grew up learning English this way, right? We used to have a chapter on the left hand side of the book, and on the right hand side or the right hand page of the book, we used to have vocabulary, and then we used to have answer the following questions, right? Give me a thumbs up if you resonate with this, or if you have seen something like this, right? Where we used to have chapter one, the lost necklace, or chapter one, the lion and the mouse, and then there used to be five questions, right? What was the lion doing? What was the mouse doing? What happened when the mouse came running to the lion and disturbed the lion? And what happened at the end of the story, right? These are all literal comprehension questions. Now, why am I emphasizing so much on this? Or am I trying to say that literal comprehension is not important? Not really, right? I'm saying that we have exposed our children to so much of literal comprehension that children, when given inferential comprehension questions, they slightly struggle because they have not gone through the thought process of answering different types of comprehension, right? So what does literal comprehension essentially build in students, right? It builds the skill of answering factual question. Remember, we all grew up giving brackets, or whenever we would read a text, we would just take a pencil and just sort of provide a bracket to it or underline certain bit of the text and say, okay, question number one, this is the answer. Question number two, this is the answer. We all would do that. That is our way of comprehending a text in the most literal way possible. Uh, Great. Right. So if you look at this story again, the lost necklace, again, a very famous story. The five questions that you will see here are all literal questions, right? A, what did Maria find on her way home from school? Where did Maria decide to take the necklace? What action did Maria's parents suggest to find the necklace's owner? How long was it before someone claimed the necklace? How did the woman say she lost the necklace? All the answers to these questions are already present in the text. So, whenever children are expected to answer these questions, what they are doing is they are comprehending in the most literal way possible, right? They are doing literal comprehension. In literal comprehension, basically, children learn how to answer the main idea of a story or certain details from the story or sequence of events from the story. And all these are very important skills. What are a couple of things we can do to enhance literal comprehension in students, right? Coming to the same statement that I made, that it is very important for children to learn different types of comprehension. They're already doing literal comprehension, but what can you as teachers do to enhance literal comprehension skills in students? A, do something called the DRTA, which when I used to be an educator myself, I used to teach sort of grade 1, grade 2 students. I used to do this a lot, right? Where we guide students through a text, teach them how to comprehend meaning, read to confirm their answer, then discuss the actual answer. This is something that we already do, knowingly, unknowingly, even if it's a science subject, it's a social science, right? For example, in social science, we are learning about the Ahom dynasty, right? Or we are learning about maybe the first war of independence, right? What do we tell children? Read it again, right? Try to read and then tell me what you understood from it, and then I'll tell you whether what you understood is correct or not, right? The directed reading thinking activity, the DRTA activity is what I like to call, right? Rita ma'am has raised her hand. Ma'am, can I take the question? Can you park the question now so that I can take it at the end, please? Thank you. Right. The second skill is that of questioning, right, where we employ a mix of WH questions. I'm sure all of us in our teaching style always do this. Whenever we teach something, we ask a lot of questions. We say, hey, Ankit, from the last bench, why don't you stand up? You tell me, what did you understood from this particular one, right? Or Ankita, who was in the first bench, Ankita, you tell me, who was the main character in the story, or what was happening at the beginning of the story? Or if it's a science topic, maybe we're learning about say carbohydrates, right? We're asking, okay, where can we see or where do plants or why do plants need carbohydrate, or do plants make carbohydrate, whatever, right? For different subjects that we teach, right, questioning is a very good skill to enhance literal comprehension skills in students, and we are really good at it as teachers, right? I remember when I was a student, my teachers would ask so many questions, right? The instruction, one of the core instructional style or pedagogy that teachers would use was questioning. The more we question, the more we know whether our students know it or not. Repeated reading is again a very commonly used sort of technique to enhance literal comprehension, where we tell children to read multiple times so that they can derive meaning out of it. And then the text feature analysis, where we guide children into annotating certain bit of the text, where we tell them, okay, just read the heading, or just focus on the bolded words, or we tell them, okay, look at the text structure, look at the key points, and then come up with what you can comprehend. So, right. So these are four sort of different out of, again, like I said, this is not an extensive list, right? There are a lot of other ways in which children learn how to excel literal comprehension. But these are four techniques that I feel like, sort of you all can take notes of and use in your day-to-day life as educator to enhance literal comprehension skills in students. The elephant in the room is the inferential comprehension, right? This is what is the challenge. Now, to explain inferential comprehension question, I have a very beautiful picture on the screen where the husband is asking, "Do you mind if I go out with my friends?" And the wife says, "Yeah, sure." Right. Now it is up to the husband to kind of infer whether this "yes, sure" means yeah, of course you can go. I'm very happy about it, or of course you can go, but at your own risk, right? Now, and this is what inferential comprehension is. It involves reading between the lines. It involves you indulging with a lot of clues from the text or from the communication that is happening, right? Along with your prior knowledge. Now the husband needs to know whether the last week when I had gone and I was late for an hour, right? What was the outcome of that, right? When my wife says this in this particular facial expression, what does it mean? So a lot of implied meaning is what inferential comprehension is all about. Tripti ma'am has also raised her hand. Tripti ma'am, I'll take your questions towards the end, or you can put it in the chat box. I do have a team who is at the back end supporting this. Just for the interest of time, I feel I'm just trying to categorize this, and we'll take the Q&A at the end. But yeah, inferential comprehension again is something that most of us as adults or even our students, they struggle the most with. The moment we ask questions uh, from any subject that does not have a direct answer from the text, children come back to us and say, "Ma'am, this was out of syllabus. Ma'am, this was something that you never told us will come in the exam," right? So because it involves a lot of them thinking, a lot of them reading between the lines, a lot of them lot about them drafting answers, and that is what inferential comprehension is all about. Let's try to understand this in detail, right? What exactly is inference? Now, if you look at the right hand side, the icon that I have used is that of a detective. So when I ask children to infer, what I am wanting my children to do is be a detective, right? Do not, so as a detective, you don't find very clear, explicit surface level answer, right? You need to dig deep into understanding what the question is asking. For example, the excerpt that I have uh, decided to put for today's masterclass is this: "Despite the sunny weather, Julia carried an umbrella. She glanced at the sky, remembering the sudden downpour last week that had caught her off guard." A very simple literal comprehension question could be, um, how was the weather that day, right? And the answer is the weather was sunny, right? Or what did Julia carry when she left home? Julia carried an umbrella, right? These are literal comprehension questions. But inferential comprehension question is, why might Julia decide to carry an umbrella on a sunny day, right? It was a sunny day, but why did she decide to carry an umbrella? What previous experience influences her decision? So question that requires you to read between the lines, question that requires you to sort of infer, use your prior knowledge, and then answer are inferential comprehension questions. And if I say, is it only limited to English language classroom? Absolutely not, right? There, with the new education policy focusing so much on competency based assessment, this term has been floating around everywhere, right? Competency based assessment, competency based assessment. What does competency based assessment really mean? It means that rather than asking question, define noun, define pronoun, write examples of two pronoun, write examples of three adjectives, right? What we want now is, let's let it be skill based, right? And these inferential comprehension question, actually in that Venn diagram of different types of questions, they hold a huge space. And that is what we need to equip our children with. A, expose them to a lot of comprehension questions, right? B, teach them the art of answering comprehension question. And that is what I wish to achieve by the end of this masterclass. Maybe just leave you with a couple of tips, right? Like using which you will be able to kind of sort of ask a lot of inferential comprehension questions and build that skill in children. Felicita, if you can just remove the annotation. Thank you so much. So, what are some of the inferential comprehension questions that might sort of be visible in other subjects, right? What implication did the Industrial Revolution have on urban societies? What can be inferred about environmental impact of the Industrial Revolution based on the text, right? So, what I want to establish is that inferential comprehension is not limited only to English language classroom. It is across all subjects, which basically means that if children learn the art of inferring, right, they will excel in all subjects alike. But what is the reality, right? The reality is that our students across India, right, in both government and in private schools, are really struggling when it comes to comprehending inference-based question. In fact, there is a study by ETS. ETS is the company that designs IELTS question papers, right? So ETS, I had the sort of also opportunity to work with ETS for quite some time, right? When we were working at ETS, and I read this research that said that we as Indians, adults or children, we are really great at answering unseen passages. Give us an unseen passage. We will not even read that unseen passage. We will read the questions, we will find the keywords, and like that, we will get the correct answer. When it comes to answering sort of factual question from that unseen passage, right? We are great at it because that's how we grew up. We grew up doing those brackets, like sort of underlining, right? Like give us anything, we will look at the keyword and we'll answer. But when it comes to attempting inferential question, right, both adults and students in India score the lowest. The moment you ask them, like, what would you infer out of this, or what would you do if you were in this position, right? Oh my god, okay, this is out of syllabus, right? This is something I was not prepared for. This is where I need to really critically think and then come up with an answer, right? So if that is the reality, right, I would want you to put a yes in the chat box if, in your experience as an educator, you have met that one student who is really good at answering recalling based question. But the moment you give that child a inferential question, right, that child struggles. Right? Put a yes in the chat box if you agree with me, or you have ever come across such students. Yes, yes, Minuman says yes, absolutely, right. And I can see unanimous sort of agreement to this. Absolutely, I have had students in my teaching career who were really good at recalling information and answering them. But the moment we would ask them to think on their own and then answer, they would just make a face and be like, "Why did you even ask this question?" Right? So this is actually what the challenge is. Now, I've taken this from a very famous publisher from India, right? This is a grade 4 core English textbook from a student. Now, this was something that the student had marked, right? The brackets that I was talking about, the underline that I was talking about, right? And I was surprised that the questions that the textbook had asked after the end of that story, all the 5 questions, and this is 2024 publication, by the way, right? I'm not talking about a 2015 2014 textbook where we were not talking about this, right? And I'm not naming the publisher here, but all the 5 questions, right? What did Chandraka do when the dog chased him? What happened when Chandraka entered the washerman's house? What roles were given to the lion, the tiger, and other animals? What happened when the blue jackal heard the jackal howling? What decision did the animal take when they found out that the blue jackal had lied? Which comprehension question is this? Is this inferential comprehension question? Or is this are these inferential comprehension question or literal comprehension question? Can you put it in the chat box? Just a couple of responses I want to hear. Literal, like absolutely, right? And this is really sad because if we don't expose our children to critically think, to answer inferential comprehension question, right, then I mean we have failed as educators. And I'm not getting into which publisher is this, why was this, right? I think as educators, irrespective of what we teach, I think the skill that we want to build in students needs to be built. And this is the sad reality that we have. Now, the $1 million question is, if inferential comprehension question is a real problem, Bhanu sir has been talking about this for quite some time, right? How can students overcome this, right? Step one of overcoming inferential, or overcoming the fear of answering inferential comprehension question is that we need to expose children, right? We need to give children inferential comprehension question. We should not be scared of them scoring less, or we should not be scared of not getting an answer in the classroom, right? Sometimes it happens, right? We are teaching something, we ask a question, we always feel like we should ask a question that students should be able to answer, right? I get it, right? But the number one thing is, give them, expose them to a lot of text, a lot of information, a lot of communication happening where they need to infer, right? I like to call it the race strategy, right? Using this strategy, children should be able to answer inferential comprehension questions. What does the race strategy essentially mean? Whenever a student encounters a inferential comprehension question, the number one instinct that comes to that student is, let me leave this question. This is a tough question. I will leave this question. I'll rather get this mark from some other portion of the exam, maybe label the picture, or match the following, or fill up the blank, or all the literal comprehension question that has come in. What is carbohydrate? What are the types of different types of amino acids, right? What happened at the end of the story, something like that, right? So that is the basic instinct of any student. Now, whenever a student is exposed to any inferential comprehension question, the formula is race, right? Where we should teach children first to restate the question. For example, in the excerpt that I talked about, right, where the question was, what might have prompted Julia to carry an umbrella on a sunny day, right? The first thing that children need to do is think of, how else can I reframe this question without changing the question, right? This is the number one strategy, right? Let them reframe the question, right? That is the R, where students start by restating the question in their own words, right? This will help them to understand what the question is asking and focus on some bit of the response. That is the R of race. The A of race is, the A of race is slightly contradictory, right? At this point, the moment you have kind of reframed the question, you don't think too much about what kind of question this is. Then you say, whatever comes to my mind after I have understood this question, I'll just write down. That is answering the question. The C is when you become a detective and you look for clues, where students will now go back to the text and try to see, okay, I have written that Julia carried an umbrella on a Sunday, on a sunny day, because it just felt like it, right? That was the first thing that came to my mind, right? Does the text support what I'm saying? Right, that is where the C part comes, right? Where the cite evidences, the look for evidences from the text. And the E is explaining, where they explain. In fact, I highly recommend that when initially you are teaching this skill to students, do not stop them from overwriting. We will come back to writing in a very short and crisp manner the moment they feel confident about attempting inferential comprehension question, right? Initially, let them overwrite, let them write whatever comes to their mind, right? We will come back to then kind of editing and enhancing their answers later. But if the challenge actually is children not being able to attempt inferential comprehension question, right, using the race strategy, they should be able to do it. Very quickly, once again, I'm summarizing. The race strategy stands for restating the question, answering the question, citing evidence, and explaining, right? Where R is whenever a child, or whenever any student, any learner gets a inferential comprehension question, the number one instinct should be, how do I reframe this question into, without even changing the question, right? I'm not thinking of different question. This question, can I reframe it? That is the R, right? The A is, how do I answer this question? What comes to my mind when I read this question? What is my instinct, right? What is the first answer that comes to my mind? Let me just write that down. The C is the most crucial part, where you look for evidences. Now I have written this answer. What evidences do I have from the text that supports the answer that I have given, right? And then finally, E is explain, 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 right? Where let them explain it, let them write, right? Let them overwrite it if needed, right? But let them use their particular understanding, their particular comprehension skill to be able to answer this. Are you all with me? Just I'm not able to see the chat box much, but A is what? Okay. Smithy ma'am says, what is A? Okay. The reason for this may be that teachers don't give more marks on such question. Yeah. Correct. Absolutely. Right. There might be multiple reasons why children are sort of struggling. My understanding as an educator myself, or after having worked as an academic advisor for a lot of school, has been that we deliberately don't expose children to these sort of comprehension questions, right? We like to keep it very simple, silly, right? We like literal comprehension questions, and I'm not like sort of pinpointing it to any set of teachers, but it's slightly being in the comfort level, right? So if we are asking questions, literal comprehension questions are very easy to ask. And great. So if all of you are following, I'm just stopping the screen share once, coming back to the main room, right? I know for the last almost 49-50 minutes, we have been indulging in a lot of what comprehension is, two different types of comprehension. We spoke about literal comprehension, we spoke about inferential comprehension. We also spoke about what the real challenge is, right? What we will do now is we will do a small silent reading activity where I will show you a text. We will together, as educators, read that text and then try to come up with three literal comprehension questions and three inferential comprehension questions, right? Don't worry, as a post read to this webinar, I will also share a handbook with all of you, using which you will get a lot of prompts for inferential comprehension questions, right? You will be able to use these prompts to draft better inferential comprehension question that I'm going to share as a post read. What we will try to attempt to do now is for the next 5 minutes or so, I'm going to share my screen. There's going to be this beautiful text that you will all read, right? And then think of three inferential comprehension question and three literal comprehension question. And then we will share that in the chat box and like slightly discuss this before we move on, right? Can somebody just repeat the instruction? Anyone who wants to volunteer and repeat what we are going to do in the next 5 minutes? Anybody who wants to volunteer, just raise your hand and we can unmute you. I guess Felicita is there to unmute. Anybody who wants to volunteer to repeat the instruction that I just gave? Yes, Rupali ma'am, please. Felicita, can we just unmute Rupali ma'am? Yes, ma'am.
Jai Jagat, everyone. So you said that you are going to show us a text, and we will read that, and from there we'll make three inferential questions and three regular questions.
Absolutely. So butterfly clap for Rupali ma'am for being the bold one. Butterfly clap, everybody. This is one of my favorite type of clap that I like to do. I'm a pre-primary teacher at heart, and I love doing different types of claps. One of my favorite clap is a Pani Puri clap that I'm gonna teach all of you by the end of this session, hopefully. Yeah, great. So let me once again share my screen. Thank you so much, dear teachers, for being so engaged throughout the session. This is the text. The text is the secret gift. Take the first 2 minutes to just read the text, right? And the next 3 minutes to come up with three literal comprehension questions and three inferential comprehension questions, right? You can put that in the notebook that you all might have, and then eventually I would ask you to share the best of the inferential comprehension question out of the three. Which one do you think is the best one in the chat box, right? But when you ideate three literal comprehension questions and three inferential comprehension question. The time is 4:52. We have exactly 5 minutes to do this. Let's go. Prapti ma'am, thank you for sharing. I'll give you the instruction on when to share, right? Thank you so much. I know for now, just ideate and keep it in your sort of notebook. I will tell you when to share. Thank you. You're giving away answers. Prapti ma'am is that one student who gives away answers during exams. No problem at all. But it's a very a beautiful inferential question that Prapti ma'am has drafted. What is the significance of the wildflowers? Teachers, just hold on to your questions. Not yet, right? Not yet. Just let's wait for a couple more minutes, then come up with first just ideate three inferential comprehension question and three literal comprehension question from this text. Hold on, and then we will come back to sharing that in the chat box. Let's take a minute more. 4:57 is when we come back. Yeah, the time is 4:56. Let's take a minute more. Teachers, I know 5 minutes is really less time to kind of do this activity. Even if you are able to come up with two or 2 to 3 inferential comprehension question, I'll be more than happy. Okay, guess we have started the sharing session. Okay, perfect. So please do not put all the inferential comprehension question per teacher. That one literal comprehension question and one inferential comprehension question, the best of the three that you have written. I would love to read that. Jugnu ma'am has written, how do you practice kindness in day-to-day life and does it fill you with gratification? Jugnu ma'am, what a beautiful question. Loved it, absolutely loved it. Name the virtue that this passage highlights. Yes, inferential comprehension question. What do you think the girl decided? Why do you think the girl decided to secretly send flowers at Mrs. Thompson's doorstep? Correct. Why did Mrs. Thompson smile? Okay. Okay. What act of kindness have you inferential? What do you think the shy girl felt the need to cheer up the old lady? Why do you think the shy girl felt the need to cheer up the old lady? Correct. Correct. Beautiful question. What is the reason for Mrs. Thompson's smile? Correct. Neeti ma'am has written, in the above passage, flowers were a silent message of care and kindness. Can you name one more item that can be a messenger of love and kindness? Neeti ma'am, absolutely. What a beautiful inferential question you have come up with. Amazing, amazing. Shout out to Neeti ma'am. I think Neeti ma'am, the next masterclass I would want you to take for all the teachers. Thank you. Can you relate any virtue and why with this passage? Give the heading to this passage. Okay. 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 In a way, of course, it is also Something that children will have to think. Mm. Wow. Okay. Inferential. Why do you think the young girl from the village chose to remain anonymous while living? Soma, ma'am, I love this question. Why do you think the young girl from the village chose to remain anonymous while leaving the bouquet? Right. What a beautiful question for students to think and write. Why was the girl placing flowers every day? Okay. Inferential is what can you do to make someone smile? Very Neha, ma'am, such a easy yet a deep question that you have asked. What can you do, right? Where children will have to make text to self connection, text to text connection, text to the world connection, and using all that, they'll have to answer this. Wow. Thank you, Neha, ma'am. Very simple question where the comprehension is not a lot around a reading skill of students. Even children whose reading skills are not that great will be able to read this question and eventually think about inferencing like inferring an answer. Would you like to help elderly people living alone in your neighborhood? Yes, nice question. Beautiful. I honestly I'm blown away by the responses in the chat. I believe that all the teachers are already sort of using inferential comprehension questions in your sort of subjects in your day-to-day teaching. I would like to sort of give mosquito clap to all of you. So the mosquito clap is another type of clap where we need to pretend that there are five mosquitoes around us and we are clapping on these mosquitoes. Okay, right? So 3, 2, 1, let's go. Correct. This is the mosquito clap, right? So this, I think Soma ma'am was doing this. I call this clap the round of applause. So this is basically a round of applause, right? So we are applauding and there is a round that we are making. So thank you, Soma ma'am, for also reviving my nostalgic memory of Great. Thank you so much. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna ask Felicita to download this chat and share with me once because I'm in love with the responses that have come in. Let us move towards the sort of end of this masterclass where I would like to talk once again. Thank you so much, teachers. I am literally blown away by the quality of inferential comprehension questions that you are already coming up with. I believe you don't even need that handbook that I was thinking of sharing, but I'll anyway share for you all to maybe take references of how can we draft better inferential comprehension question. But yeah, I think this chat, if we can download this chat and share with each other, it could in itself be a handbook of sort of attempting sort of comprehension questions. Great. So now that we have come towards the end of the webinar today, what I would like to leave you all with is certain tips to enhance inferential comprehension skills in students. Right. The number one tip is do not hesitate to ask open-ended question. Right. So at times your children will all look blank at you whenever you ask open-ended question, right? Absolutely okay. Do not take response only from the top five of the class who always raise their hand, like, ma'am, me, right? Like, use a lot of classroom management strategy. Use something called, I like to use the lollipop stick method where I randomly pick the name of any child and then that child answers. But ask open-ended question, right? Put it in your teaching practice to ask open-ended question in any subject that you are dealing with, science, social, EVS, math, right? Ask open-ended question. Second, use something called as the think aloud strategy. Whenever children come to you and say, ma'am, this is too tough for me, sir, this is too tough for me, right? I'm not able to sort of answer, right? Tell them, like, think aloud. In a group, take 2 minutes to think. Let them use the raise strategy to think, right? Reframe, right? Sort of what comes to your mind, answer that, cite evidences, explain, right? Use the raise strategy and then try attempting. Third is teach students to look for clues. The moment children will go back to the text and start looking for clues, 50% of your job is done. Children are now equipped to answer inferential comprehension question. Maybe they will not be able to draft the most beautiful answer possible or the expected answer that you are expecting as a teacher, but they are learning the skill. Connect text to personal experience. So some of the inferential comprehension questions that all of you are drafting had got a direct relation with children having to connect it to their own personal experiences, right? So teach children how they need to connect text to personal experiences. Visualization is a brilliant tool. Let children visualize the text so that it's 2024. Children watch a lot of uh, things on the digital platform. We employ the multimodal teaching style, where it's just not instruction that teacher gives. Children do hands-on thing. Children see things on a screen. Children look at visual, auditory, kinesthetic. There are different ways in which children are learning. So encourage children to visualize what information they are processing. Use graphic organizer. I find it amazing. Till date, whenever I need to sit and plan, graphic organizer is my go-to tool, right? I simply make mind maps, I make geos, and that gives me a lot of answer. Discuss prediction, and the last is practice with multiple texts. The moment when we give children holiday homework, or when we give children maybe winter break homeworks, right, give them at least 3 4 such texts that requires them to engage with an answer inferential comprehension question. Nothing like practicing, right? Always remember that often we lament that our students seem adrift in understanding complex text, yet we must ask ourselves, have we truly anchored them with opportunities to navigate these challenging waters? Right? Very, very similar to, I think, I don't remember which US president said this: ask not what the country has given to you, ask what you have given to the country. Very similar to that, right? Have we taught children the skill of anchoring through these difficult skills? If we have, I think we should all pat our backs. But if we have not, it is not the students fault, right? We need to ensure that students have enough text, have enough practice, have enough strategies to come and then attempt these difficult inferential different comprehension, which inferential being one of the tough ones. Great, lovely. So for the next 9 minutes that we have, uh, first of all, again, I think thank you so much for very, very patiently listening to what seemed to be a monologue, pretty much of an hour, that I bored most of you with. But what I wanted to achieve, like I said at the very beginning, was not for you to retain 100% of the information, but to retain 50% of the information and use 20% of this in your classroom. So tomorrow when you step into your classroom, I think if you can use 20% of what we discussed today, I will feel that my time with CMS teacher was the best and this masterclass was a success. Great. So I'm opening the floor for any questions. You can, of course, unmute and ask as well. Anaya ma'am, if I'm pronouncing your name correctly, Anaya ma'am has raised her hand. Anaya ma'am, feel free. Yeah.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening, ma'am.
Actually, I raised my hand to just say that John F. Kennedy said those words.
Got it.
Those you
It was
showed
Kennedy. It was
just
Kennedy.
now.
Yeah.
John F. Kennedy. Yes.
Correct. Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you.
Yes.
I remembered the quote, but I did not remember which US president said this, but it was John F. Kennedy. Correct. Thank you so much. Teachers, let me open the chat. I think I can see a lot of gratitude pouring in. Means a lot. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Once again, like I said, we need to understand that this is a real problem. Might not be with some of us, like I said, right? Maybe some of our students can actually answer inferential comprehension question, which is amazing if that is the case. But we need to understand that there is this again, if you all are interested in reading research papers, um, or sort of policy papers that come in, the annual status of education report, the ASER report, is one report that I want all educators who are really, really into teaching to just glance through to see where the reading level of the country is, right? As a country, I think when it comes to comprehending, reading, making meaning, it is we are really struggling, right? And as educators, I think it is the onus is on us to ensure that whatever impact we are creating, right, with those 60, 80, 100 teachers, that 100 students that we teach on an everyday basis, are we equipping them with the right skills? So, Vera ma'am, if I'm pronouncing your name correctly, Vera ma'am, please. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you so much. I have to thank you profusely for this very valuable session. And I assure you that
the teachers of CMS, they are highly ambitious. So don't restrict them with the 20% implementation at all. You'll be happily surprised that tomorrow, when they are inside their classrooms, they'll be covering more than 60% of what you have shared with them. And that is the assurance I'd like to give you, because I know their pulse. I know how they function. I know how ambitious they are about their goals. So
Brilliant.
thank you so much, Mr. Bhanu. This has been absolutely delightful. Thank you so very much.
Thank you. Thank you, Vera ma'am. Thank you to all the teachers. If there are no further questions, Rajeshwari, thank you so much for the opportunity today. And I request you to just forward the communication of the post webinar handbook that I've created, which will help teachers to frame better inferential comprehension question. Thank you once again, teachers. Would like to end with the Pani Puri clap as promised. The Pani Puri clap is a rather silly clap that we all do. For this clap, what we need to do is we need to take our left hand, right? And in the left hand is the pani puri. In the pani puri, we need to add some potatoes. So we add some potatoes there. We add some chutney there. We add some dahi there. We add some red chutney there. Okay. Now we dip the pani puri in water, right? We put that pani puri in our mouth, and then we blast the pani puri. So that's the pani puri clap. Absolutely silly. Kids love it. I love to do it during my in-person trainings as well. But yeah, thank you so much. Felicita, over to you if you have any closing statements to make.
Thank you. Thanks a lot, Banu. I think I don't need to tell anything after listening to Veera ma'am and the motivation she has given for teachers to take the entire 100% of learnings today to their classrooms. And of course, teachers knew how to do or frame questions, but now they understood the value and the impact of it. And all the best, teachers. Take these learnings into your classrooms. Give us feedback on how your students are enjoying this thing. And let's keep seeing you in further sessions. Keep reading on Light Sail. Thanks to all those who have joined on YouTube. Have a lovely evening. Bye, everyone. Thanks
Thank
a
you,
lot.
teachers. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you, Jai Jagat.